we lived out in Texas, so.
Did they ever lay eyes on her and see her?
Oh, yes, sir. She actually wound up getting out of the Army before I did, and she moved back here to Georgia because she was originally from Rome, Georgia, where she lived with her family, and she used to go and have dinner with my dad while I was deployed.
Did they like her?
Oh, yeah, yes. I mean,
Here's a million-dollar question. Why didn't you tell your family you were married?
it was kind of a thing that, I'm kind of old school in a way, kind of like my dad. I mean, I've wanted to do the whole ask her father's hand in marriage, but he lived in Colombia, so couldn't
Columbia,
really do
South
that.
Carolina?
No, Colombia, South America. So I've met her brothers before, but didn't get to meet a lot of her family. But she met all my brothers and my brother and my sisters, my mom and my dad.
Well, did y'all divorce or separate because of something bad, or it just didn't work out?
It didn't work. She wanted it. I didn't, because I loved her. But I wasn't her first or her last marriage, put it that way. So we were just young, and I was just going through a crazy time. I mean, I was being deployed to Iraq. I mean, I didn't know if I was going to come back.
When did you end up telling your family about the marriage?
After all this happened, and we were sitting in the law office, and
Manny Aurora's office?
Manny Aurora's, and he said, if there's anything that needs to be told that could come out of this, it needs to be told now. And that was the only thing that I was like, oh crap, I might as well tell them. I mean, we were already divorced, and I didn't know how extensive it was going to become.
Sure.
So
Did you tell Amanda too? Does she know?
they were all in the room.
Chris, Emily, and Amanda.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you some questions about what your dad was like. You said he's smart. When you say smart, how smart was your dad?
Very. In my eyes, he was the smartest man I knew.
In what ways did he show that?
Oh, growing up, he always, was grabbing our books from school and reading stuff, and he always loved watching Jeopardy, and, constantly watching that, and he just, Alex Trebek will ask a question, boom, he'll give out the answer. I mean, put it this way, my dad was so smart, he talked in his sleep. And if you caught him talking in his sleep, you give him a math problem, and I'm not saying 2 + 2, like something big, he'll give you the right answer in his sleep.
How did he do in law school?
If I remember right, he was top of his class. He was either number 1 or number 2. I kind of want to say number 2 because I do kind of remember him being ticked off that he didn't get the number 1 spot.
When it came to his work ethic, what was that like?
He worked a lot. He loved his job. He was very good at what he did. If he wasn't doing law, he was working around the house.
When he was doing his legal work, would he take a lot of vacations, or is he one of those guys that would just work a lot?
He would work a lot.
Would
The only time that we took vacations is when he had to do law seminars down. It originally started off in Gulf Shores, and then eventually it moved over to, Sandestin area. That's how we did our vacations.
So he would go get training at a very nice resort or something. Y'all go with him?
Yes, sir.
Did you enjoy those?
Oh, yes.
Whole family go?
Every year we had to do it.
He had to get his continuing legal education hours in. Did he go do that?
Yes, that's what I presume it was.
Would he be checking his? Now, I know you said your dad is very smart, but when it comes to when you talk to your dad, or the kids would talk with your dad, when they talk with Gary, would it be odd for them to text or email him to have a conversation or solve a problem with him? I mean, is he somebody that communicated by email or text message with the family?
Both. Before really texting became a thing, it was, email. So that's how he would communicate with me when I was over in Iraq, or when I lived in El Paso, Texas, he would send me emails.
You remember his email address?
I want to say it was gferris@bird.com, I think it was, something along those lines.
What about your dad's wit? Could he cuss you with his wit? Was he quick-witted? If you did something, would he say something? What was his personality like when he would have banter or debate with you or anything like that?
I mean, he would respond fairly quickly and all, but
Was your
not
dad's-
aggressively.
Well, I'm not saying that. Was he sarcastic? Was he straightforward? What was his personality like? Was he a
Oh,
joker?
he always cracked up jokes. I mean, to me, they were corny, but, he always cracked up jokes.
When it came to the things that he really liked, how much did he like Mountain Dew and cigarettes?
Two things about my dad. He always had a cigarette in his hand, and he always had a Mountain Dew in his hand.
How much do you think he would smoke a day?
He was a pretty heavy smoker.
Did you ever get on him and tell him to quit smoking?
Oh, yes.
What did he say?
Oh, I'm going to, I'll quit one day. That was always his, response to it.
How about the Mountain Dew?
Yeah, you didn't take those Mountain Dews away from him. It was like water to him. He didn't drink alcohol. He occasionally drank coffee, but no, 99% of the time it was a Mountain Dew.
And your mom, how did she feel about him smoking and drinking Mountain Dew?
She didn't enjoy it. I know more of the smoking she didn't like. Mountain Dews, I know as he got older and the health got worse, she tried to start buying caffeine-free Mountain Dews, and he wasn't a fan of them. So
Where would he keep the Mountain Dew?
in the garage refrigerator.
Now, is it true that he wouldn't even go to ball games anymore because they wouldn't let you smoke and things like that? I guess didn't enjoy going out because of couldn't smoke at certain places, or
No, I wouldn't really say that. I mean, he still went. I mean, we went before he passed. We went to SEC championship. I believe it was the year prior.
and who went with you to that?
It was my dad and I, Chad and Chris.
When you say Chad, I know who you're saying. Who is Chad?
Chad is Amanda's now husband.
Chad Bruce.
Yes.
And I think he started dating your sister Amanda. Is that how he came into the family?
Yes, man. At that time that we went to the SEC championship, he was dating Amanda.
At the time of your dad's death, would you say he had a lot of friends he would hang out with, or was he more close at home and homebody?
My dad was a homebody.
Fully charged battery, fully charged. Unplugged charger.
It's supposed to be the time. Dude, I was about to ask you, can we take a break?
Let's get a little bit.
Okay.
All kind of plugs over there we go.
That's fine.
Would he have, to your knowledge, would he have friends though? Or is he more just kind of around the family?
He was more around the family. Every once in a while he would go skeet shooting. I don't know if they were with clients or work friends, I would say. I mean, I really don't, he wasn't friends with like the neighbor down the road and go play golf with him. It was always either somebody from the law firm or somebody he's done work for.
When he would get home at night, he'd get out of the car. Would he go look at the pasture, just walk out there, have a cigarette, or what was he like when he got back?
So my dad was very routine. You can read him like a book. He always, depending on traffic, there was a certain time frame he would always come home, and he would immediately come in, pull into the garage, grab a Mountain Dew, and go change clothes. And once he changed clothes, it varied. He could have he would have either gone up to sat in the driveway and looked around and had a cigarette and stuff, or he would go straight down to the office and start working.
Now, the type of law practice that your father did, was it corporate law?
Yes, sir.
He wasn't doing divorce law?
No, sir.
He wasn't doing criminal defense law?
No, sir.
he wasn't doing anything, I don't want to say exciting, he wasn't doing anything dangerous.
No.
He worked in an office in Atlanta.
Yes, sir.
To your knowledge, did your dad have any enemies whatsoever at the time of his death?
No.
Did you ever see anybody that had a beef with him or a problem with him or anything like that?
Absolutely not.
Did you even see around the time of his death that anybody outside the family that he had even disagreements or arguments with, or any something like a road rage or something like that?
No.
Could you think of anybody outside your family that wanted to do your father harm?
No.
Did he have concerns about someone doing harm to him that you saw at that time?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Your dad's health, he would have some things called spells. Tell the jury what that was.
So, best way I can describe it was he would get very weak. He talked very thick tongue, like his tongue was swollen.